now, everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Star Wars Time Show. And guess what? It is the Star Wars Time Show. It's not a special topic show. It's the Friday show. Yay! It's Friday. Everyone loves Friday. Nick and I love Friday. Star Wars loves Friday. That's why we do our thing on Friday. Well, it's mostly so I can get my buzz on, so I can drink a half gallon of Coors Light pea beer before doing the Friday show. That's why we love it so much, or at least myself and the mouse I keep in my pocket. So it's Matt, it's Nick. We're here. Like I said, we're here to talk all things new in Star Wars land. And unfortunately, people, there's not a lot of things new in Star Wars land, so this could be a quick one. But you never know when you get Matt and Nick on the mics how long it's actually going to take, because I could take us down a rabbit hole. Nick could take us down a rabbit hole. You never know where things are going to go. But all we can say is that in terms of the written agenda, the posted agenda for SWT, it's pretty light. And we're going to change things up a bit this week based on some fan feedback. And it's the feedback, we hashed it out. We had a blood trial over it. And we kind of came to a truce, and we decided that, the fan was kind of making sense. And the fan was essentially saying, like, listen, guys, we really like what you're doing. We like your topics. We like your Star Wars knowledge, this, that, and the other thing. But maybe you should consider moving the fandom segment, in particular the toy photography love, basically the toy photography, we're going to suck everyone's dick segment. Move it to the end of the show instead of the beginning. That way, just pure Star Wars fans, they can get their news. They can hear the gas bags, being Nick and Matt, give their opinions on the news. And then those who want to stick around for the toy photography, the fandom stuff, they'll be there in the end, because Nick, in the end, if you're a real Star Wars fan, you listen to the entire episode of Star Wars Time. You're not just tuning in for a segment. You're listening to the whole thing. So we're going to try that. We're going to take some of this fan feedback, and it's from more than one fan. So this isn't just a monarchy here where one fan is saying you must do it this way because it's going to be the right way. We've taken the feedback. We're altering things a bit. And hey, people, if you're just here for the toy photography, I'm going to give you the timestamp anyways, even though I think that is the inappropriate way to consume Star Wars Time, because you should literally listen to us for the entire run of the episode, because we don't fuck around. We
have the best opinions. We have the most concise opinions.
The right opinions. We're always right. We're never wrong.
The most accurate speculation and guesses. We've never been wrong when it comes to the plot of a new Star Wars movie. Go back, listen to our TLJ. Right. 100% correct.
We're essentially this special story group.
Yeah. We give the writers, Chris Terrio, Ryan, and JJ, we give them the ideas for the movie. They just execute our vision.
Right. So, they don't hear it. Like, it's not like they're listening to our podcast, but they feel it through the force, if anything else. Because if we can do anything, we can definitely influence the narratives of Star Wars from our basements.
Proven, 100% proven.
But all right, man. So because we're not going to lead with the fandom, so we're not going to do our usual thing, jumping into the top 5. But we're going to get into some of the news that we cooked up this week. Well, we didn't cook it up. People cooked it up for us, and we just decided, you know what, this is kind of interesting, so let's talk about it. And the first thing we want to riff on here is, excuse me, outside of me clearing some gas from my system. We want to riff on I believe the Disney shareholders had a earnings call or a conference call this week. So, Bobby I got on there, Bobby Iger, he got on the call and dropped some bombs on people's faces. And obviously, we don't care about the other Disney bullshit. I mean, Nick does. He's a Disney diehard.
I love it.
But in the end, we're here for Star Wars, right? Star Wars Time. There's always time for Star Wars Time. So what Bob revealed, and it's pretty juicy, because this is something Nick and I speculated on 2 weeks ago when we got the roadmap for Star Wars, which we now know, and this is horseshit, and we've gone on the record to express that this is horseshit, that we're not getting another Star Wars movie until 2022. So 3 years hiatus after Rise. until before this week, though, we did not know what movies were we getting. Were they going to be Ryan Johnson's new trilogy? Would they be the GoT Bros' new trilogy? Would they just be some random shit? Maybe they're like, hey, let's try the standalones again. Who knows? But guess what? We now know what those movies will be, who they're coming from, Nick. So in 2022, we're going to get the first Star Wars movie, live action that is, from the Game of Thrones duo, which is David Benioff and D.B. Weiss.
That is completely unexpected if you ask me.
You're right, man. I mean, I thought Ryan would have been, because he's done it, been there, done that. So I figured he'd be the guy to lead it, but it's almost, to me, it's almost they're I don't know if they're hedging their bet, but they're going, there's still a lot of poison around Ryan. Maybe we let it stew a bit.
Yeah, and we'll get into it a bit because it seems like these guys have a little poison building around them now. But the other reason that I thought it was going to be Ryan out the gate was because of the announcement times. If we look back pre-TLJ release, Disney said, hey, Ryan Johnson's got his own trilogy. Yeah. So it's been out there for a long time, and people were anxiously awaiting, like, hey, what is it going to be about? Has he started working on it? He had another movie that he was working on at the time, just released a few months ago. And then it was announced that he started on his, outlining and story building for his trilogy. These guys, Weiss and Benioff, we learned about them much later, but apparently they've been workshopping and working on this new series of films for Star Wars for a little bit now. So it seems like
that's
ready.
That's why season 8 sucks.
They basically told HBO, like, hey, it's not TV, it's HBO, but it's also not Star Wars, so we're only doing 7 episodes.
Let's wrap this damn near 10-year series up really quickly so we can move on to Star Wars.
Exactly. Like when Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy knock at your door and say, hey, I enjoy what you do on the television, not the big screen, but I think it's time for you boys to move up. You may shift your schedule a little bit. You may change some things that you're working on. And look, I'm glad that these guys are doing it. For nearly 8 seasons, they killed it with Game of Thrones. Obviously, there are people out there who have some differing opinions about what's going on now with season 8. But I think that these guys have proved over many years, like you said, almost 10 years, they are quality makers of content.
Okay, so let's play devil's advocate, Nick. That was working with curated source material.
Yep.
I think a lot of people, and myself, I was a book reader. But here's the thing. I didn't start reading the Game of Thrones books until I saw the show. So it's a chicken and egg type of deal for me with Game of Thrones. But in the end, to me, it's been clear ever since George's fat ass essentially can't finish the books and kind of left the Game of Thrones guys to finish it themselves, it's not been as good.
Yeah.
I mean, season 6 you could question is suspect, 7's definitely suspect, and now 8 is probably the most suspect. So I guess when it comes to Star Wars, Nick, I'm with you. I'm excited. I do think they can bring a quality trilogy or just quality Star Wars movies to the franchise, because we don't even know if they are working on a trilogy. I mean, they could just be working on a movie.
Yep.
And that wasn't detailed in Iger's statement, so we have no idea. But I guess the question is, and the concern from a lot of people now with these two is, okay, we saw what they could do when they have source material to work from, but when they don't, yeah.
Okay, so this is how I would respond to those people out there who are thinking this. It's a completely different world when you start a show and you have source material, and then you get to a point to where you have to finish somebody else's work, which is basically what they're doing with George. Like you said, Martin hasn't finished the books. He's probably maybe staying on in like a, an advisor capacity, saying like, okay, I guess
George Martin's a fat piece of shit.
Yeah, like he has screwed us all.
Let's just get that out there. I mean, honestly, the reason everyone hates Game of Thrones season 8 ultimately is because George is a lazy asshole.
Yeah, he had many years. Like book 5 was out when season 1 was.
The last book's like 11 years old. Man.
Yeah, like he's had
let's be real.
Many years to finish these last books, so it's completely on him. But what I like about this in what they're doing with Star Wars is it's their story. They're not relying on, Karen Travis. They're not relying on Timothy Zahn or anybody else. Like, they are writing it, so they're not going to get to a point where, like, oh, shit, we don't have any source material to work off of. We just have to figure out how this would end. And, what they're doing with Game of Thrones is basically taking some of the most popular and most well-regarded fantasy novels ever, multi-award-winning novels, and trying to finish the work of a writer who's still alive and just hasn't done it yet. Like, that's almost an impossible task, and especially given the way that Martin writes, the sophistication of his style, and the way that he treats his characters. Like, it's very unique the way that he does everything. So to say, like, these guys have really dropped the ball, like, yeah, it's not Martin's writing, but they're doing the best with the fact that you mentioned that they have no source material due to laziness of the author, which they won't have to worry about in Star Wars.
Well,
it's their story.
If we're gonna pick on him for Game of Thrones, I mean, George gets a lot of this blame.
Yeah,
but in the end, these guys in the cast and crew, they're the ones that pretty much said, "Yeah, we're done."
Yeah, I think
we want shortened seasons. We want 6 episodes versus 10. And ultimately, that's why we're getting all this fast-forward bullshit, which is just discounted any sort of character growth. I mean, the shit with Danny last week, Nick and I think we briefly talked about it on our special cast. It's full-on Star Wars now. I mean, Game of Thrones has reached its Star Wars prequel moment, where it's literally just making narrative decisions that aren't justified.
Yeah, they didn't give themselves enough time, and I feel like if Martin had finished his source material, we would see a 10-episode 7th season. We would have seen a 10-episode at least 8th season.
He wouldn't even have to. I really think this was a case of either HBO being cheap and knowing that when they had to re-up everyone's initial contracts that they would get blown out of the water because of how popular the show got.
Yeah.
Or it's a case of the artists being the writers, the cast and crew saying, you know what, 8 years in, we want to do something different.
Yeah.
I honestly think, Nick, those are the two factors that have led to Game of Thrones ending. And I'm telling you right now, people, and you're going to be listening to this after it airs, Game of Thrones is going to disappoint. Its finale is going to disappoint. The writing's on the wall. It will disappoint. I think a majority of fans are going to be disappointed with Game of Thrones and how it ends.
Yeah. I think that's an inevitability at this point. There's people who still like it, but, there's a lot of people. Dude,
it's like I said, I can't wait to watch it Sunday. And I know when I watch it, I am going to be a freak. My legs are going to be shaking. My heart's going to be beating. I'm going to be fully engaged. But I also know by the end, I'm going to sit there and go, I really feel like this could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
And like I said, like we've said, it's the prequel thing. It's the fucking, it's Revenge of the Sith. It's Anakin's turn. It's, man, I mean, I'm not even a billionaire Hollywood creator, and I know that I could have done this better. I could have written this better. I could have scripted it better. I could have directed it better.
The crew and the cast, I feel like, believe that too, because I just watched a video today. It was a 3-minute supercut of a bunch of interviews with the cast, and they were being asked, like, oh, what do you think of the last season? Did you film your last scene? How do you think everything goes? And, like, it was pretty clear. And, this could be clever editing on the part of the video maker. But, like, in these clips, it seems very clear that a lot of the cast that they talked to was slightly disappointed in the way that season 8 turned out.
You're exactly right. I mean, it's very Mark Hamill, The Last Jedi press junket stuff.
Yeah, like
where they can't just come out and say we fucking hate this because again they're getting paid and they have to promote it. But you can tell, just like Mark in his comments, that they were not a fan of the direction of the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, in one particular clip, I remember Amelia Clark was asked, like, "What do you think? Are you happy with how it turned out?" And she literally just started laughing, and then in the most facetious voice you can imagine, says, "Yeah, best season ever." Like, it was very clear. So I know, and that's what worries me now. I mean, we talked about this for briefly before we started recording. Like, it worries me that we have this amazing franchise, this amazing series that's now coming to an end in a less than amazing way. There's going to be a lot of negativity. Yeah.
Nick really is the most positive motherfucker I know. Do you hear this guy? I mean, he is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, he's like, oh, yeah, hey, guys, it's okay. Everything's good.
I try.
When you know deep down that this fucking season has sucked.
I know. Like, when I watched it was called what was it? I don't remember. It was the Battle of Winterfell episode. I watched it with a bunch of people, and, like, I watched it, and I was like...
The Long Night.
The Long Night, yes, that one.
Because you couldn't see anything either, so yes.
I was watching it, I was like... is it good? It's good, right? There's fire. Look at all the shit happening. There's all this battle. And then, like, after I watched it, I was like, this isn't good. This was not good.
Exactly. It's just like us going to the prequel. I went to the Phantom Menace 10 times.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. Attack of the Clones, I saw at least 3 or 4 times. Sith I saw at least 3 times because at that point, it's just like, dude, these aren't good. Just stop. They're not going to get better if you keep going.
Yeah. And
it's the same shit, man. It's been uncanny to see what's happened with Game of Thrones Season 8 when we compare it to what's going on in Star Wars land right now.
Yeah. Are you worried, though? Are you worried that the toxicity of the GoT fandom is going to transfer over with these guys?
Of course, because what I'm worried about, I'm not so worried about the final product. As you said, I mean, these guys are where they're at for a reason. They're not just fucking bozos that Lucasfilm's like, hey, you guys want to make a movie? I mean, that would be if they said, hey, Matt and Nick, do you guys want to make a movie?
Yeah.
That would be 2 bozos making a Star Wars movie. So these guys clearly aren't bozos. I mean, they've earned the right to make a Star Wars movie. I will give you that. The thing that concerns me, though, is the way that the world is these days, where these guys have clearly stumbled on Game of Thrones, and there's going to be a large contingent of Star Wars fans that will hold that against them. Even if their movie's good, there's still going to be people now that are going to say, this is trash, it's more Disney bullshit, more SHW or more SJW nonsense, they're forcing down our throat, these guys suck. Right, yeah. Nick? I mean, you know that's where it's going.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous times. The one thing that I can say... And it's the same argument that we've made for, the fandom kind of cooling down is once GOT ends, there's going to be, they're going to have a long time before they're really back on the big stage again. I mean, if Star Wars is their next big project, people are going to have 3+ years to cool down.
Exactly.
So maybe, I don't
think... should be enough time. I mean, that honestly, in this day and age, 3 years is like a decade.
You'll have 500 more things for people to get outraged about between now and then.
Honestly, we'll have gone through the next American presidential election by then. We could honestly all be dead.
Yeah, we could be dead, or...
I don't even know if we're going to see these Star Wars movies, people. That's where I'm at. Like,
We could be literally eating garbage out of dumps in 2022, depending if the nuclear holocaust happens or not.
Or melting. Like, you just go outside and the sun's so hot now because we have no ozone. It just fucking melts your eyes or something.
Yeah,
so.
But, I really do think that it's going to pass. And fingers fucking crossed, after this presidential election, we don't have dipshit in the White House anymore. And then society calms down again. Like... If we go back and we look at...
How dare you call great leader a dipshit?
I know. I mean...
Oh, hell, great leader. Oh, hell.
I might have the FBI, the CIA, and the Secret Service outside of my window as we speak.
I mean, fuck that. Bill Barr himself will be down there to fuck you up.
That's true. So, maybe it could be a completely different landscape, though. Like you were saying, 2022 is far away. And... there's going to be good shit happen before then, and there's going to be bad shit happen before then.
I mean, if anything else, maybe we'll get book 6 from fucking Fat Ass.
We could get book 6, and, we
at this
also...
point, there really was, Nick, like, we talked about this on Thrones Time. There's a point where we are all like, hey, who gives a shit about the books? The show will finish the story, it'll be great. Now I'm going, please finish the fucking books, man.
Do you think that Martin... Do you think that Martin is involved to a point where he intentionally sabotaged the show?
No.
And he's like, I'm going to fuck it so people read the books.
No, I think he gave them his general outline, but he's already been on record saying, like, oh, yeah, stuff could change here and there, and it's going to be a little bit different. And he's right. I mean, it's just, even when the show was matching the books, and if you're tuning in late, we're talking about Game of Thrones. They left so much out.
They did.
So much out. I mean, so, no, I don't think he purposely is like, fuck you guys, because in the end, it all builds his empire.
He story grouped it. He was like, hey, it's kind of like this.
You're kind of right. I mean, and that's how they've explained it. He said, here is what I envision for the end. But that's all they've ever had is, okay, let's work to the end. They've never had all the subplots this guy's had going. I mean, there's a Phagon in the books, literally.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's another Aegon Targaryen in the books that was not even remotely touched on the show, just like fucking Stoneheart, this, that, and the other thing.
Lady Stoneheart was completely left out. Yep.
Right. I mean, but the show was so damn good for so long. I really was fine. Like, hey, you know what? Fuck you, fatty. It's your fault. You fucked up because you're fat and lazy. I'll take my ending from the show. And now I'm going, I'm just going to, the book ending, please.
Yeah. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
I'm going to get the show ending, which is probably going to spoil a lot of the book stuff. But I know for a fact now, I mean, there's no question in my brain. The books, as most people say, are going to be 10 times better than the live action.
Yeah, I think so.
All because of these last 3 seasons.
In terms of these guys, and I mean, I know we've talked about it a lot. What do you want to see from them? Like, do we 100%?
I want KOTOR, man. I mean, okay. I'm fully in on that. I think these are the guys that do it. They've obviously had 10 plus years experience. Because to me, Nick, let's be honest, KOTOR has always been kind of the medieval, the fantastical side of Star Wars.
Yep.
It was very much into, I believe that's where you got the term Jedi Knight, right? The Knights.
Yeah.
The good guys, just like the Knights in Game of Thrones. So I think they are a natural fit for that time period. And I think that time period it is ripe for the type of storytelling that Disney and Lucasfilm has told us they want post-Skywalker saga. And that is unique, brand new, fuck the Skywalkers, this is what it is.
I 100% agree. Now, here's another question. These guys have made their bones off of not being on the edge, being over the edge in terms of violence, in terms of sexual content, in terms of language, everything. When you work in Star Wars land, you have to ride that PG-13 hard. Yeah. You have to be on that edge.
Yep.
And I've said this before. I think that if you can write a kids movie that wins an Oscar, you can write anything. But do you think that these guys coming from television, making award-winning television, but in such a way that is so beyond the pale, can they pull it back and have the same success?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind they can scale back. Star Wars has never been a sexual or a sex type of universe anyway, so
yep.
I think the biggest thing would be how would they handle violence, especially if it was KOTOR, where you're going to have these... You would think you'd have larger scale battles, just like we've seen in Game of Thrones of good guys versus bad guys, except they'd be waving laser swords at each other.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still gonna have to keep it PG-13. If we were in a dream world, rated R Star Wars to me sounds like honestly heaven.
It does, but we know that can't happen.
It's never gonna happen, man. I mean, it will never happen. I would love it. I think it would be very intriguing. I think it'd be something that people would flock to ultimately, but it's not going to happen. I mean, we almost have to do a special topic on an R-rated Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And just coming up with what would that even entail? I mean, the sex, violence, rock and roll. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm almost popping a chub just thinking about R-rated Star Wars.
What's interesting about the possibility of R-rated Star Wars is that language wouldn't be a thing, because all of the profanities that's in Star Wars land...
You motherfucking nerf herder!
Yeah, like, nerf herder could literally be like, you son of a bitch in Star Wars, and they could say it to a kid and we would never know. So, like, language wouldn't even be a problem, but you nailed it. Like, it's are they going to be able to chop off people's heads like we saw in fucking AOTC? Because that's about as violent as Star Wars ever got. Like, you saw fucking Jango Fett's head fly off and roll across the ground, and that was it. But it was in a helmet, so.
And there's no blood because Saber's cauterized.
Yeah, exactly. The only time you ever see blood in Star Wars is Episode 4, before he decided Saber's cauterized, and then he went back and retconned it. He's like, well, lightsabers have power levels,
yeah,
so
that's a good call there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, Luke in Empire, his eye got a little bruised
Banged
up and
up.
bloodied. But yeah, I mean, there's, it is nuts to think about it, and that could be something to throw. Excuse me, people. I'm just a pig. That could be something to throw in our little special topics queue, though, is just kind of riff on what would an R-rated Star Wars be.
Yeah. So
like, Nick and I, we're doing it right now. I'm telling you right now. I'm committing it. I'm actually going to put it right into the cast right now. But we are going to come up with an R-rated Star Wars movie. That will be a special topics cast. I don't know if we're going to act it out or script it out or at least give our main plot points. But, yes, we're going to riff on R-rated Star Wars.
I like it. I think that we can come up with some good stuff here. But I am super excited for these guys. I'm glad that they're going to be the ones kicking it off. They're fresh. They're coming off of massive success like we've never seen on TV before. And this isn't even cable. This is fucking premium television. And they've become the most successful TV writers of all time. Like, almost undoubted. Like, you can argue that them and Larry David are like the two most successful, or three most, considering it's a duo, successful TV writers of all time.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably give it to him just because of Seinfeld and then Curb. But
yeah. But these guys, they know how to write material, even if they're working off of source material. And what's important is the visual, the visceralness, like the visceralness, whatever, of their content.
I like viscerality. I don't think it's a real word, but I like it.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
It's almost like virtual reality, but viscerality.
I like the sound of it. I might go to the dictionary, Merriam-Webster.
No,
and
fuck
say,
it. Just Urban Dictionary that shit.
Yeah.
I think you can just write those in.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's almost like Wikipedia. But their stuff would fit perfectly. I think their style fits perfectly into Star Wars. I'm excited to see it. 2022 can't come fast enough. I want to see... There's only one thing that I said that I want to see. That I want to see more than 2 Sith. I want to see more than 2 Jedi. I want to see a primary character that uses 2 lightsabers in a live-action Star Wars movie.
I think that's the most important thing is dual wielding.
Dual wielding. I mean,
we've seen more than one Jedi, and it looks like a circle jerk. So, I mean, at this point, just give me dual wielding.
Dual wielding, either Sith or Jedi. I mean, come on.
I'd almost prefer Jedi because then you could get a color mix because, Sith, their basic asses will just use 2 reds.
Yep, they'll rock the 2 red. I know that on my KOTOR playthrough, I'm a dual wielder and I got a green and I got a blue. So it's a fun little duo. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. And really, people, that is the only news that we got this week. I mean, we had some small drops around like the Disney D23 Disney Hall of Fame. They announced some people going into there, but it's really not it's not huge. It wasn't any kind of huge news. We got Robert Downey Jr. added to the Disney Hall of Fame. We have Ming-Na Wen, which is very interesting. She is the actress from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Excuse me. She plays Melinda May. She's going into the Hall of Fame. You have Jon Favreau, the creator, the proper creator of the MCU, by introducing Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. to everybody on the planet. And then also Jon Favreau, now known for bringing the Mandalorian to life. I mean, that's important and huge on its own. So in terms of Star Wars news, not very much, but we do have one special topic that we're going to talk about. And it's something that Matt has been working on for a while. We've been hearing him talk about
TPM.
This special project. There it is. 20th anniversary time is upon us, Matt, and you hit us with the big project. Break it down. Let us know what you did here.
So we're not really going to kind of talk about the project that I've been teasing. I mean, we want to commemorate TPM. It's literally, by the time you're listening to this, the Phantom Menace will be 20 years old, and that should make a lot of you feel really fucking old. I mean, yeah. I was 18 when it came out, so do the math. I'm essentially 60 now. It's and you know what? It is something. It is a moment in Star Wars fandom where I'm going, this is a big moment. I mean, the Phantom Menace, for whatever you want to slice it up as, this was the reintroduction of Star Wars to a lot of people. Thousands, millions of people, if you will. I mean, we even got some comments, Nick, based on the editorial put out, going, hey, yeah, these movies are what introduced me to Star Wars. And Nick and I have been talking about this. I mean, sometimes for people like us, especially me, you know, pushing 39 this year, I mean, I grew up with the OT. That's Star Wars for me. That's why I love Star Wars. Prequels came around. I was fucking jazzed for them. Clearly, I mean, it's new Star Wars. It's going to tell the tale of Anakin and how he became Darth Vader. I mean, I was like, There's a point in life where I literally was saying, hey, if there's a God out there, just let me live until I'm 25 years old. If I can make it to 25, I'll be good, because I'll at least have seen George's vision for the Skywalkers. Right? It happened, and guess what? It was basically the proverbial kick in the balls.
It was the proverbial season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Exactly. I mean, we got Game of Thrones finale season before that even existed. As we've said, Game of Thrones is experiencing its Star Wars prequel moment, essentially. But in the end, when I sit back and I reflect on the prequels, I can't help but still have fond memories of the Phantom Menace. I'm not going to lie. This isn't bullshit. This isn't clickbait. This is not an act. To me, the Phantom Menace is heads and tails above Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith in terms of quality, in terms of what it brought to the Star Wars universe as a whole, in terms of narrative, this, that, and the other thing. So that was the gist of the video that Nick was talking about. I basically stated my case. I gave you 7 reasons as to why The Phantom Menace is not the worst Star Wars movie. And Nick, at first, he's like, dude, I don't know about the title. I was like, I get it, man. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. It is what it is. But if you literally, and I'm telling you people right now, because I got a lot of the same stuff on Instagram, because I shared on my personal. I got some people interacting there, which, by the way, I love. This is why we do what we do. This is why we create content, is for you guys to interact with it, either in a negative or positive fashion. That's great. But I was getting people, Nick, same thing as you, like, oh, dude, I mean, what do you mean the worst Star Wars movie? Clearly Attack of the Clones is. And I'm like, guys, search it on the internet. I'm not fucking around. Like, the reason I wrote the post the way it is because if you search the worst Star Wars movie of all time, the first 2 or 3 sites list The Phantom Menace as the most egregious. Okay?
Yeah.
That's why, that is the initial motivation behind me doing this whole post, Nick, was that's wrong. I mean, that is blatantly, like, these fuckers just saying Phantom Menace is the worst. That is wrong. It was wrong to me. It needed corrected. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
Is The Phantom Menace the best prequel? Of course it is. But it's also not the worst Star Wars movie. But, hey, in the end, Nick, what were we getting with this post? I don't know if you've looked on Instagram or even YouTube. Fuck TLJ. That's the worst fucking movie. Disney fucking sucks. And I just, you know what I said? I was like, all right, I did my job.
Yeah.
I did my job.
You got it right. I mean, we did. We got comments on Instagram. We even got comments, I believe, on the Facebook post we put
up. Oh, dude, and on
it,
YouTube. Like today on YouTube, there's comments like, why I couldn't disagree with you more. I think Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith are awesome. And I'm just going, well, you're clearly a fucking idiot. But that's okay.
And it's funny when you think about it. When we think about, you know, some of the reasons that people say, and I'll propose this to you because you came up with the, you know, you put it out there, and I agree with you. I do not think that
I don't want to. I want to commemorate TPM in a different way though. But I am glad we're kind of talking about this.
Yeah. So could you argue with the fact if somebody said the reason I think TPM is the worst is because it set the precedent for how bad these movies are going to be?
No. That's not even a valid argument to me, because you look at the quality of TPM and then you immediately go to its successor, Attack of the Clones. It's not even close. Like the quality level is not even close. Attack of the Clones is so fucking bad, dude. It is. I mean, we're talking cinematically bad, Star Wars bad, anything bad.
Yeah.
You can't blame Attack of the Clones issues on the Phantom Menace at all.
Okay.
No way.
All right.
Attack of the Clones is literally in a league of its own in terms of bad. Like Star Wars bad or just bad. It's both. It's Star Wars bad and it's bad.
It is. It's
there's nothing positive, dude. Name one positive aspect of Attack of the Clones.
I will say
there's
this.
Nothing.
I will say this. Similar to one of your points from the TPM, Dooku being introduced as a character, bringing not even the character of Dooku, but Christopher Lee, a legend of acting. Like you could argue that there is nobody with more impressive resume in acting.
No, I mean the guy had like 150 credits and he was in massive movies.
So similar to the way Ray Park introduced us to Maul, we got Dooku. Dooku was not great in the movie, but as we mentioned,
there you go. You answered your own question for me.
I know.
You did it, Nick. You're exactly right. I knew where you're going. Dooku, yes, potential to be a fantastic Star Wars character. He's got the Jedi history. He got so disenfranchised, became Sith. He's almost a roadmap for Darth Vader.
Yep.
But just as you said, he is a extremely uninteresting character. He is a badly scripted character. He's basically a bozo.
Yeah.
So, he does not even come close to Darth Maul.
He's just, I mean, the way that they used him, they really could have used him in such a better way. But, at least, again, as with all prequel material, the cartoon series
I was going to say, see Dooku in the Clone Wars.
Yes. So
just like see Anakin in the Clone Wars, see Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars, see everyone in the fucking Clone Wars versus the live-action movies. It's not even close. But as I said, if you want to get into that, please watch the video on YouTube. You can find it on youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. It's not long. I mean, it's under 8 minutes. And I highlight 7 reasons as to why I believe TPM is not the worst Star Wars movie overall and definitely not the worst prequel. In fact, in my opinion, it's the best prequel because of these reasons. And eventually I'll probably get into why Revenge of the Sith is not the best prequel because I know a lot of people think it is. But I quite frankly think it is ultimately the worst. I know that's blasphemous to say when we just took a big steaming pile of diarrhea all over Attack of the Clones, which it deserves. I mean, Attack of the Clones should always just have its mouth ready to eat corn-filled shit because it sucks. It is a pile of vomit. It truly is. Truly is. From
It's
top
terrible.
to bottom, it is fucking shit. But I will always contend that the fact that Rots takes my homie Anakin and just completely fucks his transition, I can never forgive that.
yeah,
I can never forgive it. I can't
rough.
forgive it. Just like I'm having a hard time coping with Season 8. If we want to compare nuts to nuts, Danny's turn from the breaker chains to I'm gonna murder babies, it's identical to the Chosen One. I'm gonna go ahead and murder fucking Padawan kids.
True.
It just none of it's backed up, none of it's justified. It doesn't mean that the movie is 100% trash, but in my opinion, because of how it fumbles Anakin's turn, it gets 0 credit. It's automatically a turd bag. See you later. TPM number 1.
Matt's he's a college professor, and this is a pass-fail for him, and it's a hard fail.
Exactly. There's no way of justifying Rots the way it plays out. It's bad from top to bottom. It's just not a dumpster fire, which is Attack of the Clones.
True. But like you were saying,
So, anyways, what we want to do. I mean, the Phantom Menace, by the time you listen to this motherfucker has turned 20 years old.
So hard to believe.
It's insane. I mean, Nick was probably
I was 11.
He was like a kid.
I was.
I mean, he probably didn't even know what it was like to jerk off yet. That's how young he was.
Accurate.
Right?
11 years old.
We just wanted... Tiny weenie, tiny everything. We just wanted to kind of go over some of our favorite moments from the Phantom Menace, because as much as you want to make fun of it, it definitely has some standout moments. And as I've said multiple times on record, it's my favorite prequel. So Nick, I guess the first thing that stood out to me when I first saw this was seeing Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and their Jedi abilities, in particular their super speed. I mean, that's nothing we ever knew about. I mean, we've heard from Obi-Wan that Jedis were these fantastic figures. They're righteous. They use sabers and not blasters. But we didn't really know shit. It wasn't until we saw Qui-Gon and Obi on the Trade Federation ship doing their thing that we realized, like, holy shit, I mean, these guys are fucking superheroes.
Yeah, quite literally the only time we ever see Jedi speed used or Force speed used in a movie.
Literally, yeah.
In the first 5 minutes of TPM. And that shit would have came in handy.
Dude, you're so right.
That shit would have came in handy for a lot of Jedi during Order 66. Anyway.
You're so right. You just shit all over that point. Yeah, it's useless because that's another one of George's things where he's like, all right, well, it did exist at one point, now it doesn't.
Yeah, everybody just forgot how to do it after that one scene. But it was really cool. Like you said, it established what was talked about in the original trilogy, Obi-Wan saying how amazing it was to be a Jedi. All of these different things. I mean, it's the first time that we ever got to see true Jedi power outside of just like a Force pull or, you know, what we saw in Empire when Vader is throwing all of the pieces of fucking Bespin at Luke before he flies out the window. Like, that's really the first real, I guess you would say, special effect that we've seen with a Jedi before.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely hinted that they're more than just this old man in a cloak poking a laser sword at another old guy in a cloak.
Yeah.
Because that was really our introduction. I mean, we saw Luke doing some slapstick with his dad, but that was about it. Here, these motherfuckers essentially turn into the Flash.
Yeah.
And as Nick said, they forget how to do it after that, but we got to see it. So, you know, that was cool. Obviously, another great moment from the Phantom Menace was the introduction of Darth motherfucking Maul. I mean, we've talked about it at length. There's no reason to really go into it, but the first time he's introduced, when Sidious is like, oh, I'll send my apprentice, and you hear those drums like, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, and then the Moidians are like, oh, fuck, there's two of them?
Darth Maul.
Fuck, we just fucked this shit up.
Yeah,
we thought we were just doing a deal with one of these hooded assholes. Now they got another one. And then obviously Darth Maul goes on to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest behind Palpatine and Vader, Sith of all time.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that we really didn't know too much about. Like, people went into TPM and the prequels in general just thinking, like, can't beat Vader. Like, Vader's the best. Vader's the best villain you could ever do. But when we got introduced to Maul and we saw just what he looked like, his persona, his visage, he looked brutal without even having to do anything. These horns, Zabrak horns sticking out of his head, Sith tattoos all over his face. The first introduction to the Sith eyes as we know it now. You look in Darth Maul's eyes and you see those red with yellow around the iris. Like, just the overall look of that character was so menacing. And then when we get to see him in action, he lives up to what he looks like. And that was the most important thing, is you can have a character like that look real badass and then flop when it finally comes to seeing how they present themselves.
Dude, in this day and age, based on how Anakin was handled in the prequels, I almost look at Darth Maul as being the baddest ass Sith of all time.
Yeah, I mean, first Jedi kill.
In terms of like physical abilities.
Yeah, I mean, unquestionable. I feel like if it came down to, you know, Darth Vader versus Darth Maul.
I still think Vader wins. It wouldn't look as cool.
Vader wins purely because I believe without a doubt that he was stronger with the Force than Maul.
Of course.
And
I think Maul would at least cut off two of his legs and an arm.
Yeah, like before Vader finally just breaks down and says, like, I can't beat this guy in a lightsaber battle. I just need to crush him with the Force. I think Maul would have him. And then also, like I was saying, Maul had the first Jedi kill on screen. I mean, if you think about the entirety of the OT, you had no Jedi kills. You had 2 Jedis die. No, that's not true. Vader did. Oops, my bad. Vader, episode 4.
Really, though? Did he, though?
It's like, did he kill? Like, that was literally a sacrificial moment.
I don't,
right?
because...
Does it count?
Unless we go to the SC-38 reimagining where they actually show the saber singe his robe.
Yeah.
Because they don't in the movie. I don't know, man. I still think Obi-Wan... I would classify that as a sacrifice versus a Sith killing a Jedi.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I agree with you. It was definitely because like he holds the saber up. He's like, I'm going out right here.
Doesn't. Yeah, like it's not Vader's blow that kills him. Obi literally disappears.
Yeah, exactly. And with Maul, he beat Qui-Gon in a duel, in a straight up 1v1.
Stabs him through the fucking heart.
Yep.
Done.
So that's a big moment because
and Nick not just beat him easily. Like it was a game. I mean, it was easy for Maul to fucking kill Qui-Gon one-on-one.
And then like even going back to the 1v1 with Obi after that, like he still easily,
he lost because he got the dark side arrogance.
Exactly.
He was taunting him. He was taunting him, and it gave Obi enough time to collect his thoughts, feel the Force, realize that Qui-Gon's blade was up there, and then there you go.
Yep. So unquestionably the best lightsaber duelist that we've seen in Star Wars on the big screen, in my opinion. This guy was fantastic.
So really, to me, he's the deal breaker for anyone that says that TPM's the worst. I mean, Darth Maul instantly makes the Phantom Menace better than the 2 prequels.
Yeah. It's a good call. Solid call.
All right, next up, and this is just, I love this character. I've loved him since day one, and I really think this was a fantastic debut. And I'm talking about R2's debut, because what does R2 do the first time we see him in Phantom Menace? He does what we've always known him to do, and that's save the motherfucking meat bags.
Yeah, I mean, he goes up on top of the Queen's cruiser when they're going through the blockade, getting shelled to death. Like
every other astromech gets blasted. This motherfucker's like, whatever, I'm gonna do it.
It's like, I can get these fucking shields back up. Gets the deflector shields back up. They make it off of Naboo, and there we go. I mean, it was a beautiful moment. Finally, we get to see the heroics of R2.
I mean, it just reinforces the tone that was set with R2 in the originals, and it's that without R2, basically everyone would have died.
Yeah, pretty much. If that shield doesn't come up, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, the Queen, all dead.
I mean, look at everything R2 has done. I mean, if he wasn't the one to get them on the escape pod, it's over.
Yep.
I mean, he's the one that fixes the hyperdrive in Empire, or it's over.
Led him to Ben Kenobi in the beginning of, A New Hope. Luke would have been fucking crisp.
Exactly. I mean, R2 in the end is the true hero of the Star Wars saga.
100%.
All right, so a lot of people make fun of Jake Lloyd for his portrayal of Anakin in The Phantom Menace, and I kind of look at it the opposite way. I'm like, listen, it was a kid playing a kid.
Yep.
So, yes, he's going to come off as a kid.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be a professional actor.
Exactly. But I will tell you, there is one moment with Jake Lloyd's Anakin Skywalker where I'm like, okay, there's some legit emotion going on here. I could see what George was hinting at and how this could lead to Anakin falling off the wagon. And that's the moment where Anakin leaves with Qui-Gon to, pursue his Jedi training. And if everyone remembers it, like, he says goodbye to his mom, he's walking away, but then he's like, oh, my mom, and he runs back. And to me, to this day, I feel like that is a genuine moment. It's a somewhat emotional moment coming from a prequel, which is huge to say in and of itself, because the prequels, to me, are devoid of emotional moments.
Yeah.
but Nick, like I said, I mean, that is one moment where you can see, like, Anakin leaving his mother will affect him.
Yeah, absolutely. When we go back and look at the things that should have led to Anakin's fall, that did, led to Anakin's fall but weren't portrayed well, one of them was, the fact that his initial reason for leaving and going with the Jedi, like, he literally tells his mother, like, I'm going to become a Jedi and I'm going to come back and free the slaves. I'm going to save you, Mom. He says that. I'm going to save you, Mom. Like, And, you know, that moment shows that the emotional attachment for this child is still very high. And that's one of the things that Yoda and Mace Windu had called out during his training, is that he is very emotionally attached and he has problems with letting go of the people that he cares about. And that's the first time we see it. And it does. Like, Jake Lloyd plays that well. The actress who played Shmi reciprocated well. So
they tell that well there, and then they just fuck it up for the rest of the movies. It's like,
yeah.
You said it perfectly. Like, they were establishing that Anakin being not even taken, like, willingly leaving his mom, but his dedication and his promise was one of the factors that led him to do some dark shit. But we don't really get that ever in the live action, so poo on that. All right, the next one I put here, I cheated, but it's well worth cheating for this one. I just said anything featuring Sheev Palpatine in the Phantom Menace is great, and I'll stick to that. I believe in that. I mean, anytime Ian's in that movie, he makes it 10 times better.
Yeah, I mean, Ian alone, I mean, the fact that Ian's coming back for Tross is just an amazing thing, and it's something that all Star Wars
He's the
fans
best
love.
actor in the Phantom Menace behind Liam. I mean, he and Liam are like the only ones. I love Ewan, but even him, he's a little wonky.
Yeah.
But
I
Ian McDiarmid gives the best performances for what he was given in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, and it's really cool the way that he plays it, because he is playing this two-faced character. You have the congenial Sheev Palpatine that you're talking about, but then you also have the menacing Darth Sidious, and that's some of his
watch
best
your
moments.
career with great interest.
Yeah, that was a rough one, but but when he does take on the persona of Darth Sidious in those
perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, he hits. You watch that and you're like, that's the fucking Emperor from Return of the Jedi. That's the Emperor right there. I know that guy. Like,
I just like when
one.
George was playing it back in the days. Like, oh yeah, I don't know who Sidious is.
Dude, you know what's funny is if you look at the credits for ROTJ, the Emperor isn't even dubbed Palpatine yet. He's just titled as Emperor. The Emperor. It's not Emperor Palpatine. It's not Darth Sidious.
You know what I'm saying though? Like, there's
Emperor.
literally there was people, and
Yeah.
there was also George playing along back then. The prequels going like, yeah, I mean, I don't know who Sidious could be.
It's clearly the same fucking guy with just a hood over his head.
What do you mean who it could be? It's fucking Palpatine, you
It's like,
assholes.
Who are you playing to? Like, are you playing to, like, I don't want, like, children? Clearly, that's who he was going towards. He said it multiple
even at the end of the
times,
Phantom Menace, I mean, they make it clear that Palpatine is Sidious when they literally said, "Oh, I wonder if we got the Master."
Yeah,
or the apprentice.
And it
literally
zooms in on
just
his fucking
zooms
face.
in on fucking Palpatine. He's like, oh, I wonder, fuck.
Yeah.
But anyways, I really felt like you could really see in TPM how masterful the guy was at laying out his strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anything. All right, next one, dude. And this, people may laugh at it, but I still contend this is one of the coolest looking, sounding VFX segments, action set pieces, if you will, in all of Star Wars, and that's the pod race.
Pod race is iconic at this point in Star Wars, and it's hard to say, as we've been, pointing this out as we go along, it's hard to say that anything in the prequels are iconic, but like, pod race was so popular that we had video games made out of Star Wars pod racing. Like,
yeah,
that
like
was
arcade fucking cabinets built as Anakin's pod racer.
Yeah, and it was something unlike we've seen in Star Wars before. I mean, this was a fast.
No, you're exactly right. We've never seen up until that point, and I think that's what makes it special. I mean, yes, Star Wars has always had action set pieces, but as Nick said, we've never had something like this pod race.
It's fast. You're constantly in a state of like, who's gonna crash? Like the moment when him and Sebulba are sitting there and they're going at each other, and then Anakin loses one of his engines. That was
the one that
scene.
Sebulba fucked in the first place.
Yeah, like, that whole scene was very tense. It was amazing to see the special effects that they used to like make you feel the race itself, but then also those moments of tension between him and the other racers feel important. It doesn't feel like, oh, well, he's just clearly the best, he's going to blow everybody out the water. Like, they stuck with what they said in the beginning. Like when you know, Qui-Gon said, "Oh, he's gonna drive it for me," and everybody laughed at him. Like, though it felt, you know, warranted that they were laughing because Anakin was good and he was the only human that could do it. But those other racers out there were definitely up to his level, if not better. And
well, of course they're better. But as you were kind of getting at, Nick, it was a great scene to also showcase Anakin's innate or natural abilities.
Exactly. It was
so again, like, oh, let's make fun of TPM, but really, if you really look at the beats and the narrative it tells, to me, it really does the best job of the prequels of setting up this character.
Yeah, I think
setting up the world, of setting up the politics, this, that, and the other thing. But the pod race, I mean, yes, it had the drama, the tension. It looked awesome. But, Nick, to me, I think even back in 99, my favorite aspect of the pod race was the sound.
Yeah.
I mean, they went nuts. Skywalker Sound went nuts with this in making every engine unique sounding, giving you kind of that virtual sound as they were passing by you. You could hear it go through your right ear, out of your left. I mean, to this day, I can hear Sebulba's engine like that. And then the music, and it was just, it really is one of the best action scenes in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's fantastically made, and again, like,
and that dude, I almost fell out of my seat saying something that positive about a prequel.
And it, like, the thing is if you go back and watch that and you remove the context of the other movies and you watch that scene, you're like, holy shit, like, there can be some amazing things in these prequels. Like, if George can build this out of nothing, if he can create pod racing and then put together a scene that brings it to life like this, you could watch that and say, like, these next two are going to kill it. Like, these next two he's really going to knock out the park. Like, and then what he tries to fucking essentially remake the pod race in the beginning of Attack of the Clones with that fucking crazy, ridiculous speeder chase through Coruscant that looked like just a CGI mess. That, like,
I'd almost contend at this point, if AOTC and ROTS were never made, I would probably consider TPM as one of the best movies ever.
I don't know about that, but like, I still think if I'm gonna list it out, I have to put TPM. I mean, it's gotta be it's the best of the prequels, but I can't in my heart put it above anything else that I've seen Star Wars. I can't, like, it might be like it and Solo are very close. I think Rogue One is better.
I'm not saying like it ranks up there with any of the originals.
Yeah.
But I think you could slide it within the top 6.
Yeah, you might be able to slot it in the top 6. Like, it's let me try. I'll do Empire, ROTJ. No, I'll do Empire, Force Awakens, ROTJ, A New Hope, so that's 5. That's 4. Then I'll go Rogue. And then after Rogue, it's interesting because it could be like a tie. It could be TPM, could be Solo.
Yeah, see?
It could be top 6. I mean, you're definitely onto something here. So, yeah, I can buy that.
Point is, I don't think it's as bad as people want it or want to make it out to be. So, I mean, next one here, and this was kind of a cheap, and honestly, this was pure fan service, but how could anyone forget the first meeting of Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker on Amidala's Naboo star?
You're
Naboo
a Jedi
cruiser.
Too? Nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you.
Literally, Qui-Gon, Anakin Skywalker, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, that is, come on.
Yeah, just
that's what the prequels to me were supposed to be, for moments like that.
Yeah, and
not what we got, but moments like that. Hey, Darth Vader, meet the guy that essentially fails you.
And it's not like you don't have it on the list, but I'm going to add this one in. The moment where Obi-Wan commits to Anakin that he will train him, like, you will become a Jedi. Like, I'm going to take you on as my Padawan. You will become a Jedi. Like,
of course.
That's a huge moment.
Yeah, it's huge because of what we know happened.
Yeah.
And in the end, Nick, that's what I always wanted the prequels to be, is justify what we saw, like justify what we ended up seeing in 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't get that, in my opinion. So next one here, I mean, obviously we've already talked about this guy, but Maul's first attack has to be a standout because, Nick, that is the first time literally we ever saw a Jedi fighting a Sith.
Yeah, two Jedi fighting.
Luke was dude. I'm talking about Maul's desert attack.
Oh, the desert attack. Yes,
right.
yes,
because if you look down the list, I've got the one you're talking about coming up.
Yep.
I'm literally like when he springs off of his speeder and starts, jabbing at Qui-Gon. We'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
I mean, when Luke fought his dad, Luke was not a Jedi. Luke literally became a Jedi after he beat his father and renounced the dark side.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we've seen a true Jedi, a Jedi Master, if you will, versus a Sith.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and that also that scene showed you how destructive the Sith could be without even really having any kind of damage done to either party. Like just when Qui-Gon gets into the ship and you can see the level of exhaustion.
Oh yeah,
he had. Like
Maul was beating him down. I mean, if they would have let that go, I mean, Maul probably would have killed him right there.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and that was just one bladed. I mean, Maul wasn't even fucking with his bow staff at that point.
Yeah, he just had the one blade, and again, like just the way that he does it too. He rides up to him like drive-by style and just jumps off the bike. And it comes down on him like
fucking Mac Daddy. That's why I love Maul. I mean, I fucking love the guy. And Ray Park's a great dude too. So.
Yeah.
Next one, I know you may laugh at this, but I genuinely have positive memories of Anakin's time in space in a Naboo starfighter taking down a Trade Federation starship. I know he's got the corny line like, now this is pod racing, but if you really just think about it, in the context of the way Obi-Wan talked about Anakin's piloting skills to his son.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That is a moment where I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's why Obi-Wan's telling Luke that, Anakin was the greatest star pilot ever known. I was like, right there. He was fucking 10 and blew up a goddamn fucking spaceship by himself.
Yeah. Every time that scene comes up, the only thing that I can think of is when he fucking turns off the autopilot and he's like, okay, let's go left. And then he fucking turns the thing and then he starts doing a barrel. He's like, whoa.
Well, think about it. It's literally, I get you, Nick. I get it. But again, it is a 10-year-old in a fucking starship.
Dude, if it was me,
of course a 10-year-old's gonna act that way.
I know, like that's exactly what I was about to say. If it was me, I was 11 at the time, so if that was me in the movie, I would have done the same fucking thing. Like I would have been like, oh my god,
I wonder if I can drive it with my asshole. And I'd be like turning my butt cheeks on the steering wheel. I get it, but my point being is just let's remove the silliness, the silly lines. It's the fact that this 10-year-old boy, out of an entire fleet of trained pilots, takes down a Trade Federation starship by himself.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, it's a good call. And like you said, it's a good foreshadowing into the original trilogy. And also, kind of brings up what we see even moving forward into the prequels, his proficiency,
one of the most iconic lines from the original trilogy is that your father was one of the best pilots I ever met.
Yep.
And they had the payoff on that, and I believe they began that payoff with this literally kind of corny takedown of a Federation ship, but it also followed into obviously the opening of Revenge of the Sith where he's doing his thing, even though it's Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, it's okay. Let's move on. Nick already was kind of bringing this up, and obviously this is probably the top moment of TPM, the top moment of the prequels, if you will, and that is Duel of the Fates. I mean, the entire sequence from the time the cargo bay doors open and the horns play, and Maul flips his hood up and drops his cloak, and then they get it on. I mean, this was one of my justifications for why I think The Phantom Menace should not be considered the worst Star Wars movie. It's twofold. It's the song itself, Duel of the Fates, and the actual sword fight are two of the greatest things in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear the opening horn blast to Duel of Fates, yeah, and it's just the the location too, like the fact that they chose to do that, and that it's going on in like essentially a power plant. It was so cool. And then again, shows the proficiency of Maul as a villain. Not only does he take on one Jedi Knight, he takes on a Jedi Padawan and a Master and a Jedi Master.
And he's essentially jerking off while doing it.
Yeah, I mean, like at moments he literally just like grins at them.
He's
like,
playing like it's a game to him.
Yeah, like he kicks fucking Obi-Wan's face.
Let's get this straight, people. The only reason Maul lost is because, like all fucking bad guy assholes, he got fucking cocky.
Yeah, he's just too cocky. He's like, I could beat you guys with one blade. I don't need the dual blade.
He was taunting Obi-Wan, like slashing at the edge, when all he had to do was slash his fucking hand off.
Yeah, cuts his fingers off, and there's no more.
But no,
Star Wars.
He wanted to be a fucking big bad. Like, I've got you now. It's akin to the big bad giving their big monologue at the end, like, I've got you, hero. This was my plan all along, which gives the hero enough time to take him out, which is essentially what happened here.
Yeah, but also what that does is, because George chose, like you said, to resurrect this character within the Clone Wars, it gives him that motivation. Like, he is now 10 times the Sith that he was in the cartoon series than he was in the movies, even though he has mechanical legs, because...
Right. You're exactly right.
Of that.
Because he now had that fixation of hating Kenobi.
Yeah, you know, before...
And that's what allowed him to live, essentially.
Yeah, in a fucking trash heap piece of garbage place to live for years until he was able to pull himself out. And
just like Anakin, he literally kept himself alive through the dark side and feeding off of their hate.
Yeah, I mean, it was so just, again, Maul, everything to do with Maul in this film.
Duel of the Fates, fantastic song. I mean, it's a top 5 Star Wars song, easy. I mean, obviously the main title is probably going to be your number 1. Imperial March is going to be up there, but I really think Duel of the Fates is in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, top 5 for sure. You could argue top 3, I would say.
So the last one, Nick, as we wind down our TPM top moments, and this is just, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of me being silly, but I'm not going to lie. Every time I've seen TPM, every time I manage to catch it on TV these days, I can't help but appreciate seeing little homeboy Anakin in his fucking Jedi gear.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the cutest fucking things I've ever seen. If I ever had a son, I would want him to wear that every day.
Oh, dude. You can dress Charlie up in that. I mean, that would be the ideal.
I mean, I'll fucking shave her head and put a little braid in, and there we go. But no, it really is just... I
cool
think Jake Lloyd looked fucking awesome in that fucking Padawan outfit.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's creepy. I was like, fuck yeah, man. That's fucking Anakin Skywalker.
That's it. Yeah, that is your first introduction to Anakin as a Jedi initiate. Like, that is his first step on the journey.
Not a robe-wearing slave asshole. Like, that is my man. Look at him. Look at him. Look at his little belt. Look at his little fucking tunic. Look at his little boots.
And just like the grin that he looks over and gives to Padme.
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
He's like, you're gonna be loving this dick. He's like, you're gonna be loving this dick.
Oh man,
I don't know what it is, Nick. That whole ending, as ridiculous as TPM is, and I love the Gungan song, the circus, the passing of the light ball from fucking Kermit to Padme. I'm like, this is, and then little Anakin in his pimp suit. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean the end sequence. The song is good, and I'm glad that
it's very akin to the throne room in A New Hope, right? The Masasi Temple, medal ceremony.
Yep.
Like you don't get that in any other movies. Like it really is like the
I think that like the thing,
and you see the fucking Gungans, they're doing like their street dances and shit.
And it's just, yeah, I mean, that was a really cool end sequence.
I love it. See, how can you motherfuckers hate the Phantom Menace? Let's go. Come on,
also,
let's go.
I will say one other thing, the semi explanation we get of the Sith from Mason
always
Yoda.
two there are.
Mm-hmm. No more, no less. So, a lot of people out there.
Which one did we get? The Master or the Apprentice?
And I do love that thing like I mentioned before, like at Qui-Gon's funeral when fucking Obi's sitting there, you will become a Jedi. Like that's a huge moment for me. Like if I look back, aside from Duel of Fates, aside from pod racing, the duel, that moment between those two is pretty fantastic. I love it. So yeah, I mean you hit on everything. Like you made a strong case here for top TPM. I love it.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, obviously we didn't get the numbers we would want. We're low lives at this point in time. But I mean, there were people even on my personal Instagram like, oh yeah. I'm like, have you at least watched the fucking video? Because you're essentially making every point I put in the video.
Yeah, it's like at least take the 7
and
minutes.
that's and Nick, and when it comes down to it, I've been creating content for over 10 years now. That's just how it goes. I mean, people read titles and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's very difficult to get people to actually consume the content. We can create it and put it out there. It's hard to get people to consume it past the title because a lot of people these days read the title, make a knee jerk, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much. And we're a content-driven site here. I mean, we give you 2+ hours of Star Wars podcast content a week, so we really hope you guys are consuming. Yeah, this was a pretty fantastic little piece here by Matt. If you want to see the video, it's out there, StarWarsTime.net. Go see it. Go watch it. Like he said, under 8 minutes. Great top 7 reasons that TPM is not the worst prequel to the ROTS and the AOTC. And I got to agree with him. He's been breaking me down on it a little bit because when we first started this, I was like, I don't know, man. ROTS is pretty good, but I think at this point, Matt has gotten to me. TPM is top 1. Now, we are finally getting on to the top 5 Instagram shares of the week. It's the best part of the show. It used to open it. Now it's closing it. I love it in both spots. And guess what, people? It's not going anywhere. So even if we move it around a little bit, the top 5 is always going to be here. This week, I wanted to spice it up a little bit. It seems like the Black Series Hot Toys Figure Arts have really been dominating the top 5 recently. We had some Lego sprinkled in previously. We have Funkos every now and then. This week, I got a little bit of everything. I got a little bit of Funko. I got a little bit of Lego, and I got a little bit of the standard toys that we've been seeing. So starting off the top 5, we have a new member to the top. And this is Hawkins Toys, and it's a fantastic Funko shot. And this is Lando.
I love it.
Solo Lando Calrissian Funko, and the facial expression on this pop is fantastic for what he's looking at. He's looking at a hollow dancer, so he's got like a little hollow recording.
Essentially, dude, as you said, he looks like he's jerking off.
Yeah, it's definitely...
You can't see his hands. You definitely can't see what his arms are doing, but based on the way he's placed, and as you said, the look in his eyes... I kind of think Lando may have his right hand down his pants right now.
Oh yeah, he's looking at a little space porn here. You mean you can see the
is that a Twi'lek, like a Twi'lek stripper?
Yeah, what I think this is too. I'm gonna call this out, and I don't know if Hawkins, if you listen to this, let us know if this is what's really going on here. This looks like the Hollow Dancer from Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO, because at one point in the game,
look at that deep cut.
Yeah, at one point in the game, you can get a Hollow Dancer projector that you can just kind of pop up anywhere, and that looks exactly like it. So it might be, might not be, but that's the first thing that popped in my head. So very, very fun, creative shot here by Hawkins Toys.
Well, yeah, I mean, dude, you know me and Funko. I mean, we go way back. I've been collecting Funko since the brand popped up in 2010 in terms of the pops. By the way, if any of you want some of the 2010 pops, I got them. I'll sell it to you on the cheap. You want the first ever Batman, metallic blue? I got it, $800. Hit me up. But in all honesty, Nick, I really, to me, being someone that started in Funko photography, I understand the difficulties in shooting Funkos. I mean, you can't pose them. They have no moving parts. I mean, their heads, if you're lucky, you can twist the screw around a little bit. So anytime I can see a Funko shop that, as you have said, that elicits emotion, I know it's a damn good shot.
Yeah.
And that's what you see in this shot from Hawkins Toys. You actually can look at this big-headed Lando and say, yeah, this thing's alive. It's thinking, it has emotions, and those emotions may be dirty, as in, he wants to play with himself. But with that being said, as I said, you have this static piece of plastic that you are deriving some sort of emotions from it, and that's why it's a winner shot. I mean, when you can get static plastic to feel alive, that's a win to me. Plus, just, Nick, look at the little blue light accents in the eyes to simulate the hologram he's looking at. Those are the little touches that can really elevate a shot of a static figure like a Pop.
Oh, yeah, and even looking at the background of this, it's clear that, like, Lando's got this popped up in, like a cantina. Like, he's looking at the dirty stuff in the cantina, probably like in a fucking corner booth. Nobody sees him. He's looking away from everybody. It's a very creative shot. It's a very cool shot, the way that Hawkins staged it, the background, even the foreground. Very fun. So this definitely popped out to me on the shares that you had this week. So top job here by Hawkins Toys, at Hawkins Toys on Instagram. Moving on, we have another grandfather-grandson shot. So I think I featured one of these last week as well. We had a Kylo Ren figure kneeling down in front of Vader. And this week we have both unmasked Kylo and unmasked Vader.
That's what I like. I like the unmasked, and I also like the duality of the lights. I've done this before with literally these characters, but I like the fact that Tanju took it a step further and removed the mask from Vader, because I think it adds to the message going on here, as well as the blue and clearly the red playing off of Jedi and Sith. It's just it's a very stark reminder, or it should be a stark reminder to Kylo that if you want to be this big badass dark side motherfucker, this is what you'll end up being.
Yeah, and he's got a little piece of it. He's got his little face scar from the initial fight in TFA.
He's not missing half his head yet.
Yeah, he's not missing half his head. He's got all of his
chunk
limbs.
out of his skull or his lungs or his limbs. And it just is. I mean, the comment that Tanju put is perfect. Don't let my mistakes become yours. And we've screamed this through and through for this new sequel trilogy. Is like, what? Who the fuck has not told Ben Solo yet that Darth Vader was a fucked up version of his grandfather?
Exactly.
Like, who fucked that lesson up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened, if there was just panic in his upbringing and they were like, just give him to Luke, and Luke was panicking already. But yeah, I mean, that's a big thing, is to leave out the truth of Anakin Skywalker as a Jedi and as somebody who redeemed himself at the end is the most important parts of Anakin Skywalker's journey.
It just seems common sense. Like, if you notice your kids going down the dark side path and they're Skywalker and they're idolizing Darth Vader, you'd be like, oh, hey, ho, whoa, pal. Hey, I get it. You're young. You're going through puberty. But let me clear some things up for you. First off, your grandfather was a fucking psycho, but in the end, guess what? He's the one that ultimately allowed the rebellion to win because he decided to come back to the light side of the Force. So you should just go ahead and forget about all that dark side bullshit that he got into and realize that he ultimately came back to the light, and that's how he ended his life.
Exactly.
Okay? Thanks. See you, Ben. Have fun playing with your uncle.
Yeah, I mean, this shot perfectly encapsulates the duality that we hope to see in Kylo and that we did see in Vader. So, yeah, fantastic shot at Tanju, TONN_JU on Instagram. Top-notch work, my friend. Next up, I loved putting this shot in here because this is the first shot we get in the top 5 that is focused on Star Wars Resistance. Yes. This is at Forstad Photography, bringing in the Star Wars Resistance figures. We have a 3-shot. We have Sonara.
It's Kaz and his babes, man.
Yeah, Kaz, Sonara,
Kaz
and
and his lady loves.
So, I mean, it's a really fun shot. It's the first time we really get to see the figures from Star Wars Resistance. They show that Matt and I are both huge fans of. And like you said, this is the two people that he's kind of being pulled between right here, Tora Doza and Sonara the Pirate. I think it's really fun. The way that it's staged makes it looks like it's on the Colossus too. I don't know if this is like a diorama of the Colossus.
Oh no, I can tell you what this is right here. I mean, he's got GTP space walls on the top. Like those are actual panels that you would see in a Death Star.
Yep.
Okay. The background, this may be the inside of an at toy.
Okay.
But here's, I mean, honestly, what drew me to this shot initially, Nick, obviously I love Star Wars Resistance, but these are 3 3/4 inch figures. So these are the tiny guys and girls. I mean,
wow.
They're literally could fit in the palm of your hand. They have almost no articulation. So I always appreciate people that can take these Star Wars figures that are literally 3 3/4 inches tall with most of the time no movable joints. You can't bend their elbows, can't bend their knees. All you can basically do is turn their head. They're essentially Lego minifigures.
Wow. Okay, that is very impressive.
Right. So when you can elicit an emotional looking shot as this one does from Forstad, I tend to think these are more impressive than if you took a 1/12 scale figure or even a 1/6 scale, super duper expensive Star Wars Barbie and took a shot.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a really fun shot. I'm finally, able to put in a Resistance shot in the top 5. I'm super happy at Forstad Photography on Instagram.
Right, because I mean at this time, Nick, you're probably gonna have to buy my first 6-inch Star Wars Resistance figure, because the only one revealed at this point is going to be the Pyre figure at
Disney
Batuu.
Yeah, and Galaxy's Edge and
right, because they haven't announced any Black Series figures for Resistance yet. And again, Black Series, that is the higher end figures, typically of the 6-inch 1/12 scale variety.
Yeah, so again, like this is throwing some spice into the typical mix here. We have the smaller scale figure. Moving on to the next entry here, we have a fantastic trooper shot from at Toy Hosa.
Right.
And what I really like about this is just the action orientation of the shot. Like it's a trooper shot and he's like vaulting himself over a tree branch. And not only that, like in the foreground and in the background, there are also troopers posted up. This is clearly in the heat of a battle. You have some red tones going on to show the blaster fire. You even have a blaster bolt being shot out of the gun of the trooper that's jumping over. Again, Matt, you are the professional trooper identifier. Can you pick out the kind of trooper that this is vaulting over the tree?
Yeah, so that's your tank commander, I believe, first featured in Rogue One. Then I believe he's flanked by some shore troopers also featured in Rogue One, which just goes to show you Rogue One easily provided the coolest looking fucking stormtrooper uniforms to date.
Yeah, the shore trooper is by far.
Fucking shore trooper, death trooper, the tank troopers here. I mean, Rogue One, for all intents and purposes, is the definitive trooper film.
Yeah, 100%.
In terms of getting the different varieties, flavors of troopers, and creating 3 new awesome designs. But, I mean, Nick, I love this type of shot because I've said this before. I love shooting outdoors. I prefer natural light, natural effects, practical effects, this, that, and the other thing. This, honestly, is probably a twig laying on the ground.
Yeah.
He's probably got the figures propped up with some sort of wire or figure stand. I would assume that is real smoke. If not, it's added in post. But I just, as you said, I love the action feel to this. I mean, the posing is done very well. But it's just the environment, having figures in the background that give you that kind of contrast between the foreground figures and the background, laying down the twig to simulate a tree being fallen so the trooper can vault over it. It's just a fantastic shot.
Yeah,
I mean,
all
just,
around.
It's just great all around.
All around, very fun shot by Toy Hosa at Toy HOSA.
And then we come to this motherfucking
Instagram.
thing here.
This last one,
fuck?
I fucking love this. So this is a Lego shot from at Lego Star Wars
Oh
Tong.
my god,
He's
this should
returning
be
top
a
5.
mural. Like I want this to be, 20 feet wide.
Yeah, like this should have been
Down in my
massive.
basement or something.
Yeah, like if this was massive on the wall at Star
the
Wars
fuck is
Celebration,
this?
like this is just fantastic.
What
So
the fuck is this?
What we get is essentially like just a full Imperial scale shot. We have an AT-AT in the front. We have 2 ATSTs flanking on the side. We have 2 troopers on dewbacks right next to the AT-AT, and you got 3 TIE fighters flying overhead. And what is a beautifully color saturated shot. I mean, you have the golden hour, you have the sun coming up, you have the beautiful skyline in the back, and then even the reflections of the orange sky within the puddles on the ground. I mean, like everything about this.
Like, hey, Tong, I think you listen. If not, hopefully you're listening now because we told you you're in the show and what time to listen. Is this real?
I know. Like,
did you shop these Legos into the scenery, or did you actually go out and shoot this? Either way, I don't care how you got it done. This thing is majestic. Like,
yeah.
This is a majestic-looking Star Wars toy photography shot. It's just like I said, this should be a poster. This should be a mural. This should be on my 65-inch TV as its screensaver. I don't give a fuck. This is, like, as Nick and I always say, I mean, this is some motherfucking art with Star Wars toys. In fact, with Star Wars fucking Legos.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the most impressive shots I've ever seen, just because, like you said, it like his original caption, the ever impressive Imperial War Machine in its full glory. Like this may be the most glorious shot I've ever featured in the top 5 of the Imperial War Machine.
It's something else, man. I mean, like I said, if this is photoshopped or if this is real, it doesn't matter. It doesn't take anything away from this. This is a perfectly composed work of Star Wars art.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful stuff here, and fantastic work by at. This is a bit of a long handle at Lego _star_wars_tong on Instagram. Give him a follow. Give him some love. This is a beautiful top-notch shot. And I do want to throw out one. Matt, you posted a very fun. I didn't put it in the top 5, but I'm going to call it out because it's right in front of me. I think it's fun. You posted a Kylo Takes Hollywood shot on your Haywood Pop account, and I thought that was a super fun shot. So,
my egg attack, yeah, the egg attacks are interesting because egg attack figures they're kind of like a hybrid of an action figure and a Funko Pop.
Yeah, I thought it was super fun, man. I mean, I don't know how you did it.
And he is again I was literally laying on the Walk of Fame taking that shot.
Really?
Like that's all real. Yeah, like that's literally in Hollywood. He's standing on Harrison Ford's star.
Yeah,
and yeah.
Dude.
That's just me not giving a shit and people looking at me saying, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of my way. I mean, people are like walking over me. I was literally laying on the Walk of Fame to do that once.
Dude, and it's so fun. I was looking at when I saw this shot come up in my personal feed, I follow Matt's account, obviously. I was like, holy shit, man, that's really fucking cool. And then the background that you caught in it and then seeing, you can see part of Harrison's name on the star. Super fun shot here.
And it's old. A lot of times, and this just goes to show you how much I suck at processing shots. That shot's 2 years old.
Really?
And I just shared it this week. I mean, I've gotten better as a photographer since this shot.
Yeah. I just like the overall posing. But then again, you go, 3 shots forward, and you have a beautiful shot of the what's the Kenobi? What's the name for the Kenobi from
the
Mythos Obi-Wan? Yeah, Mythos Obi-Wan. Beautiful shot that you have there. So I just wanted to point that out because we never talk about Matt's toy photography on the
buddy.
show. But
I kind of hate it, but
it's a super fun
shot. I'm a human, so in the end, when people say nice things about me, I'm gonna like it. Let's be real, people. It's just like people on Instagram, oh. Why do you care about the likes? It's like, well, why the fuck are you on Instagram then?
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody is out there.
Get
If you're
the fuck
posting
out of here. Yeah,
things,
get the fuck out of here. Like, it's okay. It's okay to want admiration and recognition, people. It's okay.
Look, as much as Matt and I like talking to each other for 3 hours a week just about Star Wars bullshit, like we also like when you guys comment and say nice things or say mean things or say anything.
We like that more than us talking to each other.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we do this all the time.
Yeah, and those
we're
pieces...
not getting the feedback, but it's been increasing, my friends. So as we wrap this episode up, I'm gonna put that call out again. Keep that shit up. It does help us. It gives us ideas. It gives us direction. It just lets us know: are we entertaining? Are we delivering what you people want to listen to? Because in the end, yes, will Nick and I do this even if no one's listening? Probably. But we still want to do the best we possibly can. So the only way to do that is to let us know. Say, hey, this sucked. This was great. Or it's all great, and then we'll just keep doing it.
Yeah.
So keep it coming, my friends. But it's that time. It's that time of Star Wars time. We're going to have to wrap things up. I know. Don't get sad. Your friends are leaving you, but we'll be back. I don't know when we're going to be back because I'm leaving on a vacation tomorrow. When you listen to this, I'll already be on vacation. I'm bringing my microphone. I'm bringing the one that makes my mic go where I could just be talking like, hey, Nick, how you doing? Oh, my God! Like that, but it was just easier to bring that. So if we do decide to talk while I'm on vacation, you're for damn sure my stem's going to sound all sorts of fucked up. But I'm bringing it because that's what a Sith would do. I can't leave unprepared. But what I'm trying to say, people, we're not going to have a special topics cast next week. And we may delay the Friday cast, but only time will tell. But the only way you'll know is if we lose our schedule, is if you're a fan and you're following us on StarWarsTime.net. And you're subscribed on iTunes or Spotify or TuneIn or all the other ones, Stitcher, YouTube. I mean, there are no excuses left for you outside of saying, hey, guys, you fucking suck. And that would be a valid excuse. We would totally accept that. We totally accept the you fucking suck excuse for not listening. Outside of that, we don't accept shit. So get with it. Get yourself tuned into StarWarsTime.net. Fire up those browsers. Add a bookmark. Do what you got to do. Because you know your boys are going to be bringing you the Star Wars knowledge week in and week out. And sometimes we may even be talking about stuff that's interesting. Most of the times, we're going to be talking about stuff that's stupid because we're dumb. But that's how we roll. That's why Star Wars Time is something you need in your life. All right, people. Enjoy the week. Keep being great fans. Keep those hashtags coming on Instagram. Hashtag Star Wars Time Show at Star Wars Time Show. You know how we do it. We got your backs. Until the next time, may the Force be with you. Always.